There's no better feeling than pulling a carrot from the ground, rinsing it off with a hose, and eating it right in the garden. And in today's video, I'm going to share my best tips for growing carrots so you can grow them successfully in your garden. My name's Angela from Growing in the Garden. I garden in Mesa, Arizona in Zone 9B. I love sharing garden inspiration and helpful tips so you can be successful in your garden. There are a lot of choices when you're trying to decide which variety of carrot to try. My suggestion, try a little bit of everything and see which types you enjoy growing. Grow some for storage and grow some for eating fresh. Grow a few colored varieties just for fun. There are seeds for purple, white, red, yellow, and of course orange. Carrots come in different varieties based on their different growing characteristics. My next tip is all about learning when to plant carrots. Carrots are generally a cool weather crop. Typically, you're going to start carrot seeds outside 3 to 5 weeks before your last spring frost. You may also have an additional planting in mid to late summer. Because the planting times for carrots can differ, check your local planting guide to find out the best times to plant carrots in your area. Here in the low desert of Arizona, plant carrots from mid-September through about March. So let's talk about how to plant those carrot seeds. So you have a few different options. You can use regular carrot seeds. You can also use seed tape, which makes spacing carrots quick and easy. The carrot seeds are embedded into the tape at the correct spacing intervals, and it will require less thinning later, but seed tape can definitely be an expensive way to grow carrots. Pelleted seeds are larger and easier to handle, and this allows for more consistent spacing and less thinning later. Do not purchase carrot transplants. Carrot roots do not like to be transplanted. If you're planting carrots from seed, lightly scatter the seeds all over the soil surface. Carrot seeds are tiny and a little bit tricky to handle. Plant seeds on the surface of the soil and then cover with about 1/4 inch of soil. Lightly cover those seeds with soil. If there's too much soil on top of the seeds, they're not going to germinate. Carrot seeds are notoriously tricky to germinate, and there are 2 key factors that you have to get right in order to get those seeds to germinate. The first one is temperature, and the second one is moisture. The ideal soil temperature for carrots to germinate is about 75 degrees. Carrot seeds will germinate in temperatures between 45 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Carrot seeds will definitely germinate more slowly in cooler temperatures, so be patient. Once you've got your soil temperature right, the other key to successful carrot seed germination is moisture. Carrot seeds are tiny and can dry out quickly, so it's important to keep that soil moist the whole time you're waiting for those seeds to germinate. That's why planting at temperatures above 75 degrees, that 75 to 85 degree range, can be tricky because that soil is going to dry out much more quickly than it will if it's a little bit cooler. I also like to cover my freshly planted seeds with a layer of burlap. This does a couple of different things. It reminds me where I planted those carrot seeds, and it also holds in a little bit of that moisture to allow the carrot seeds to germinate. Then during hot weather, I'll lightly spray that burlap a couple of times a day to keep that soil moist so that those seeds will germinate. Once you begin to see those sprouts coming up through the burlap, it's important to remove the burlap, because if you wait too long to remove it, you're going to pull carrot seedlings up with the burlap. About 2 weeks after those seedlings germinate, hopefully you have an abundance of seedlings that are growing well. You want to go in and thin any carrots that touch each other. Lightly pull them out or use scissors to cut off the plants to be thinned. In another 2 weeks, Thin the carrots to about 2 to 3 inches apart. Carrots that grow too close together will be smaller than carrots that have enough room to grow. So thinning, although it can be tedious, is an important step. Try to make it a practice to go in and check on the spacing and thin any carrots that are too close to ensure the largest carrots at harvest time. Once the seeds have sprouted, it's important to water your carrots regularly. Give them regular water and have that water go nice and deep to encourage long root growth. If you see a lot of hairs on your carrots, that means that they were out looking for water. So carrots prefer their roots to be cool and their tops to be warm. Mulching helps moderate the soil temperature throughout the growing season. Carrots don't need extra fertilization. Giving them a lot of nitrogen will result in lush top growth, but smaller root growth. Carrots aren't usually too bothered by pests, but some years I do get powdery mildew on my leaves. It doesn't usually affect the carrot themselves, but it does make those tops unusable. So you can let them continue to grow, but I usually like to get them harvested pretty quickly once I see that powdery mildew show up, because I don't want it to spread to other areas of my garden. Pulling carrots has got to be one of my favorite things to do in the garden. I love when I have fresh carrots growing when kids come to the garden to visit. It's so fun to see their face as they pull a big carrot out of the ground, especially if it's their first time. How do you know when it's time to harvest your carrots? They're growing underground and it's hard to see what's going on down there. So there are a couple of things you can do. You can always pull one and find out. You can also remove the soil from around the tops and see. Harvest carrots when the tops are about 3/4 inch to 1 inch in diameter. Harvest your carrots first thing in the morning for the highest moisture content. Harvest the largest carrots first to give the smaller carrots room to develop. Leave in the ground until ready to eat, but harvest before it gets hot. Carrots are going to taste best if you can harvest them in cool soil that is under 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 degrees Celsius. If you live in a cold climate, you know that those fall planted carrots will only get sweeter if you leave them in the ground after a couple of frosts. Once you've harvested your carrots, it's important to clip those greens off. If you leave the greens on, they draw moisture out of the carrot. Rinse them off with a garden hose before I bring them inside. Greens are edible and delicious. Make carrot green pesto or chimichurri, juice them, or add them to homemade vegetable broth. My favorite way to enjoy carrots is fresh, so I preserve most of my carrots by placing them in Ziploc bags and putting them in the fridge. Carrots will last for several months when I store them this way. When you're ready to use, scrub but don't peel. Many of the vitamins are in the skin or close to it. Some years I have an abundance, and then I will also freeze dry. Freeze-dried carrots rehydrate well and are a favorite to add to soups and stews. You can also freeze carrots as well. Carrots are a garden staple and should be grown in every garden if possible. Learn the best time to plant for your area and use today's tips to help you learn how to grow carrots. Thank you so much for watching.